You feel you don't belong. It's like you're coming from another world. It's hard to relate to other people. It's hard to connect.
And this is so painful. So in this video, we want to give you helpful tips how you can start to transform this pattern. For example, Jess and I, we met in our early 20s. And in that time, for both of us and many people around us, it was so difficult to find people that were like-minded. And even with the people that we found being like-minded, it was so difficult to connect and feel relaxed around people.
Yeah, I was always feeling a little bit uncomfortable. I would adapt to the situation and to the people, and people wouldn't even notice, I think. But I was wearing this mask. It was like I was ashamed of saying the whole truth about me.
I think for me, the first true friends I made through actually art. And this is also how we met, because we had lots of musician friends in common. And we were going to concerts, and then we realized we also have the same taste when it comes to movies and books, literature. So that's how we connected by then. Yes. And it felt, I guess, also safe to have this ground of the taste being common.
I was always feeling so alone, and I was good feeling alone, and then I accepted it as it's the way I am. And I think it started with this feeling of really coming from another planet. I would look myself in the mirror when I was 7, and I would say, oh my God, nobody knows it, but I'm an alien. I know it, but it's my secret.
Yeah. And I remember also this feeling of loneliness and feeling like no one can actually understand me. I'm trying to explain to people, but somehow they don't seem to be able to relate to my experience. And I would also have trouble understand what is their experience, like why we seem so separated. There was also the thing like this drinking and taking drugs that would be like the only way to feel relaxed around people for me, because without that I would just be so nervous that I could not even speak or move. And I started to experiment and observe what happens when I actually don't drink, and to observe my nervousness and start to become more friend with it and to accept it. And I realized that this nervousness was not always something bad, because sometimes it would just inform me that I might not be in the right situation with the right people.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good filter to know to know if you really like the people and really connect or not.
Yes, I learned how to regulate my nervous system so that I could at least come down a bit and not be completely petrified, and then to also accept whatever amount of nervousness that could still remain, and be like, it's also okay to be nervous. Because before, I think it was also related to this sense of being ashamed of being nervous, and like, no, I have to be this really cool person that looks really confident, otherwise I will not be accepted. And now I'm like, okay, I guess it's fine if also people notice I'm nervous and I'm not that perfect. I'm really cool.
So it's
badass person. Yeah, for me things changed a lot because I've been working on myself, and I know it's the same for you. Like I remember back then, for example, in your relationships.
Yeah, it was really
there was always this same pattern happening. And
my love life is a good example of these kind of issues. I'm going to speak about the relationship that was really something like a deep, strong connection and love. It happened several times that I would leave the minute I felt rejected. So for me, the trigger was the silences. If my boyfriend, my partner would withdrawal in self from the relationship for a bit, or will just be silent, like far away and silent, I will directly think that it means I don't give a shit about you and that I should leave before getting hurt. So I did that a few times, and then it's always the same. I realized my mistake, but it was too late.
But with your last relationship,
Yeah.
you made it completely different.
Yeah, because after a few times you change things, and you can change yourself and you can change your pattern. The first thing to do is to notice what is your pattern. So it's analyzing yourself and observe. When there is something you're always blaming your boyfriend or girlfriend with, usually it's because the problem is inside of you, not because you always meet the same kind of person. So first of all, I discovered that I had this pattern, and then I could, at the beginning of the relationship, speak about that, speak about this pattern, and prevent it to come again. And this way, my partner will be aware that when I say, you don't give a shit about me, it was just about this pattern, not about himself.
And that was also the same for me, that in my healing process, I had to make a lot of research about the tools I could find to transform my patterns, and also the research inside of myself to find out what is lurking in the dark and pulling the threads of my reactions, my automatic reactions, and reproducing the same situations over and over in my life. What I found out when doing this research was that actually is something that happens very early in life. So if it happens during the pregnancy or at the time of the birth, around the birth, or is this something that was overwhelming in the moment, or something that comes with some kind of double bind where you feel stuck. It can be something very small that your parents don't even remember. Actually, very small things can really feel like, can create that kind of trauma. When this overwhelming experience occurred to you, as you were so little and so dependent, and you couldn't move, you couldn't go away from the experience, you couldn't talk about it, you couldn't defend yourself. So the coping mechanism you came up with in this moment, that was the only one possible, was to separate from the body, so as not to feel this horrible experience. And that is called dissociation. The thing is that every time something feels a bit similar, and unconsciously you will repeat this coping mechanism. You will go out of your body again and again without even noticing it, because it's your way to deal with difficult situations. So it becomes a habit. This is the reason actually why, even if in the moment it was an appropriate reaction, over time we want to change it to come up with a better way to deal with difficult situations.
Yeah, and usually when you dissociate this way, you are like split in two. Like there is your mind and there is your body. It's like your energetical body goes up, so all your energies goes up. You're not grounded anymore, and it's like you're flying. It's like you're floating. It can be really convenient for some situation, as you said, because you're protecting yourself and you are not hurt anymore. But by protecting yourself from bad emotions, you also protect yourself from positive emotions. So by cutting yourself, you cut yourself from everything, and you don't feel really bad, but you don't feel really good.
You lose your aliveness. You can feel like, well, doesn't really matter, I could do this or that. Honestly, you don't feel so much alive. Sometimes I have had this experience as well, feeling like my life is a movie I'm watching. I'm not really like an actor or directing, but I'm like in the audience, and things are just, life is basically happening to me, and it feels like I have no choice, and I can't create the life I want.
But the problem with it too is like by floating and being like watching a movie, you don't have boundaries anymore with other people. It's like you are everywhere and nowhere at the same time.
And then, I mean, for me, it's like for most of my life, I was not aware that most of the emotions I was feeling were not mine. It really took for me to do my own healing work to start to realize that. You lose your inner compass as well. You can't feel what you want, what you need. You can't give yourself what you need to feel good. I know many people, some of our friends also, that just have really big difficulties to handle the basic of material life, you know, having a house, having things to eat, having a steady job, an income. All these things become really difficult, and you feel more and more like an outcast of society.
And more overwhelmed.
Yeah. Deep inside, we feel that some parts of ourselves are not acceptable, and it's unconscious, of course. But if we show them, we will be rejected for it. That people will not accept us like this. So there's always this sense of like, I have to pay attention how much I open up, what I show. Everything is calculated, and it feels like wearing a mask all the time. And then, of course, if people see your mask and they connect with your mask, you also can't feel satisfied about the interaction because it's not really you. So all these things can be really painful, but also just prevent you from living the life you want, having satisfying relationships, and feeling like you're actually the person designing your life and making the choices, like how do you want it to look like. So this is the reason it's really important to take a look at it and learn how to transform it.
It's a long walk, and it didn't happen in a minute, so you have to be really patient. So the first thing to get to this transformation is to notice, to develop your self-awareness, to be conscious of who you are and what you do. So focusing on observing your pattern, what you always do the same way.
But also recognizing when you get triggered. Because this is when you get triggered that these automatic reactions start to happen. So to start recognizing what is the experience of feeling nervous, or feeling unsafe, or feeling uncomfortable, and recognizing, okay, now I'm in that place, and I would say like observe what is the physical experience of it, you know.
Observe your body.
If you start to feel, for example, oh, I can't feel my feet anymore, or I feel my hands and my feet are becoming cold, or I'm feeling kind of buzzy, or I'm feeling kind of not really present. So I try to recognize that, because this is when this story, this narrative of I don't belong will start to show up. And if you don't recognize it, you will believe the story again and again. But if you recognize, you can be like, okay, this is happening again. So the next step is to bring yourself down, back to earth, back to the present moment. And
at the minute you start doing the same thing over and over, or even dissociate, of course, the first thing to do before thinking and overthinking is to ground. The best thing, of course, is to stand up, but you can also do it while you are seated. You breathe. Okay, you were seated on your chair. You feel your butt on the chair, or your feet on the ground. And then from the middle of your body, you begin to feel some roots coming down. So don't be afraid if you're not sure to really have these roots coming. You just imagine the roots, and the roots are coming. When I speak about roots, I speak about like the roots of a tree, for instance. So you can just visualize this kind of roots coming down into your legs. They are in your legs. They are your energy. and it's going down. And you feel it going down. You can even touch your legs to help you with that. And it's going into your knees. Take your time. Sometimes it can be 10 seconds for someone, can be 5 minutes for another one, depending on your dissociation. And then you go into your legs, into your ankles, and the roots are going into your feet. And the feet are really important because then we want to go in the ground. We want to go underneath. And the roots are crossing your feet and going down on the earth. And then usually you feel that your feet are really stuck to the floor. The second part of the grounding is that the roots in the ground will come up. You can imagine that being in the ground, you can take all the good energy of the ground, of the vitamin, everything that makes the forest flourish, and you take it, you can imagine it's, I don't know, sparkles of something, and it's coming through your roots, and it's coming the other way around to your legs, to your knees, to your basin too. And usually like this you feel really more centered.
Before we did the grounding, I think I was sitting like this and I just felt so much more comfortable and relaxed. Mm-hmm. Breathing became deeper and I felt so much relief. Mm-hmm. And from this place, then you can make free decisions again. Because before, when you are triggered, your automatic nervous system will, kick in, and then it's automatic pilot basically. So bring yourself back, Yeah.
After the grounding, the good thing would be to go back to the thoughts you had before and take a step back and observe it and notice. And I have a good exercise for that. And it works really well. It's quite hard, but you can do it. I did it. During a week, let's say a week, you're gonna observe all these thoughts, all these sentences that are coming in your head. For some people, it will be like, oh, I'm ugly, or oh my God, I'm so alone, or oh my God, this world is shit. And I want you to notice this sentence, and I want you to notice this sentence each time it comes in your head. By focusing on it, you can see if it occurs less and less or more and more. And the second thing is you can act on it. Let's say you are another person in front of you and you hear that. What is your reaction? If there is something telling you, I'm ugly, what do you want to say? You want to say, no, you're not. You want to say, like, the beauty is inside of us, or I don't know what you want to say, but say it to yourself, and it will work, and it will really relieve you.
Mm-hmm. Another thing that is really important to start to practice. Once you've learned how to ground yourself, to bring yourself back, is to try to change this pattern slowly. So how to change it in relation to connected to people. Feel connected to the world around you is to start to act truthfully and not anymore from the mask place. So it's starting to take little steps towards being vulnerable, going to the places that feels uncomfortable when you're around people. Lately, we were talking about this example of someone that did it on a very large scale, but that is so impressive. Yeah. It's Nick Cave, the singer, after the death of his son that was a pre-teenager. He actually started to talk about it publicly. He started to write about it. He started to share about this experience of grief. He started to bring that on stage, to just share it with everyone. And we know how grief actually quite a taboo topic is in our society, and most people actually hide to grief because they feel that it's such a heavy emotion. People don't have the resources to hold you in that kind of pain. But he had the courage to go public about it. And what happened is that actually people were so grateful that someone shares about that experience, because for all of us, death is a topic, losing loved ones is a topic. And to have someone talking publicly about pain, everyone was just so grateful to finally have this brought in an open space, and started to hold him in that pain, and it became his own healing process to be seen and held with love and compassion by so many people in that pain, not having to hide it, not being ashamed of it. Yeah. So of course, I'm not saying go on a stage and tell everyone the most painful and embarrassing thing you have in yourself. Start with small steps. The most important is just to get started, because when you have experiences that contradict your narrative, that you don't belong, that you will not be accepted, even if they are small, it will start to give you confidence and do more and more. It's just about start by breaking the pattern in doing small things. And this is something you can do now. You can first make a list of things that you've never talked about to anyone, but that are not too embarrassing, maybe that feel a little bit like it could be okay to tell someone about that. And then you make a list of some people that are not judgmental, that are super compassionate and open, and you feel safe with them. And take one of the thing of the first list and make an appointment with one of the person of the second list. And you can even tell them, I would like to share something really intimate with you, and share about your fear, but it's something I'm scared to be rejected for. So I don't know if you would be open for that, if you have the time and the energy to receive me. I really need patience and openness and non-judgment.
Even if it's not formal, even if it's at a party, even if we don't really party at the moment, but even if it's at a party, maybe, I don't know, you feel relaxed in a way. I don't know if you drank or not, but you feel relaxed and you have this window at this moment. You can use this window, just, hey, I want to talk to you about something. Use any moment to do this. You don't have to do it take the phone and everything if you're shy.
So do it now. After you finish this video, make this list, try to take this little step and see what happens. And notice what happens in your system and how that feels like.
It will help to go to your self-acceptance at some point. I'm Jessica Anne. I'm an energy healer located in Paris. I work on physical pains, also mental pain, by going into your unconscious and trying to release this unconscious block. Then are on your way. There is also a part of mediumnic work, as I have visions and messages coming, and that can help us finding out what is your main problem of the moment and work on this.
And I'm Magali. I am also an energy healer, and I support people in transforming that kind of patterns. I'm located in Berlin, but I have also online offerings. I have a healing center in Berlin, but right now we can't really use it. So I focus on the online sessions. And I have created the whole process to guide you into transforming this pattern and learning also to heal yourself, because ultimately, I say I'm a healer, we say we are a healer, but there's only self-healing. And what we do is hold space and educate you and support you in going through these transformations. But you are the one healing yourself. Thank you for your time and attention, and hopefully we'll do some more of that in the future. See you.
Bye.